What if Hitler wasn't a madman who appeared out of nowhere, but the inevitable result of a broken system? What if fascism didn't rise in the shadows, but was invited through the front door by democracies too weak to stop it? This is not just about Germany. It's about a world that collapsed and then willingly turned to monsters for salvation. Because sometimes nations don't fall, they choose their executioners.
In every war zone, in every era, the United States military has stood at the edge of history. From the smoke of independence to the steel of global war, America's power was built through conflict, sacrifice, and strategy. This is Shadow Force, your mission briefing on the rise of American military power, the wars that shaped it, and the tactics that still echo today. Subscribe now and enter the front lines of real history.
World War I didn't just kill empires, it shattered the idea of stability. Germany was humiliated. The Austro-Hungarian Empire vanished. Russia had a revolution. Millions were dead, and millions more were traumatized. And into that chaos came the Treaty of Versailles, a document that wasn't just about peace, it was punishment. Germany was forced to accept full blame for the war. It lost land, its military was neutered, and the economy was paralyzed by impossible reparations. The Weimar Republic, Germany's fragile new democracy, was born already bleeding. The Weimar Republic had enemies on all sides. Communists wanted revolution. Monarchists wanted the Kaiser back. And ordinary Germans, they wanted someone, anyone, to make their lives better. Hyperinflation made savings worthless. In 1923, a loaf of bread cost billions of marks. Street violence between fascist militias and left-wing radicals turned cities into battlegrounds. Democracy was blamed not just for defeat, but for humiliation. People weren't just angry, they were desperate. And desperation is the soil where fascism grows. Before Hitler came Mussolini. In Italy, fascism was born in black shirts and broken promises. Italy had been on the winning side of World War I, but felt betrayed by its allies. Mussolini seized that resentment and turned it into a political movement. In 1922, he marched on Rome, and the king gave in, handing power to a dictator without a single shot fired. Mussolini showed that you don't need a majority to kill a democracy. You just need to paralyze it long enough to make fear seem safer than freedom. Hitler was watching. Hitler didn't appear fully formed in 1933. After World War I, he was a failed artist turned angry soldier, disillusioned, poor, and furious. He joined a small nationalist party and discovered something terrifying. He had a gift for speaking rage into existence. In 1923, he tried to overthrow the government in the beer hall putsch. He failed and was jailed. But that prison sentence gave him what he needed most. Time. Time to write Mein Kampf. Time to plan. Time to transform from a nobody into a myth. Just as Germany was stabilizing, the global economy imploded. The 1929 Wall Street crash sent shockwaves around the world. American loans that had propped up Weimar Germany vanished overnight. Factories closed, millions lost jobs. The world stopped trusting banks, markets, or even hope itself. In Germany, the Nazi vote surged. When fear becomes global, extremism becomes normal. Fascists in Spain, Hungary, Romania, and beyond gained ground. Fascism wasn't an outlier, it was the answer many were looking for. In 1932, the Nazis still hadn't won a majority, but Hitler had momentum and fear on his side. Conservatives in power thought they could control him by giving him the chancellorship in January 1933. They were wrong. Within months, the Reichstag burned, civil liberties were suspended, and enemies were arrested. This wasn't a coup. This was legal. Fascism didn't kick down the door. It was voted in, signed off, normalized. Germany didn't fall. It gave up, willingly. Here's the hard truth. Hitler didn't hypnotize a peaceful people. He reflected them. The racism, the nationalism, the fear of communism, it was all already there. He just weaponized it. What makes fascism dangerous isn't just the man on stage, it's the millions who clap. Hitler wasn't an accident, he was a mirror. And when democracies get weak, when people feel betrayed and abandoned, they don't always choose hope. Sometimes they choose fire. Today, across the world, we see rising extremism, economic fear, distrust in media, anger at politicians, and charismatic leaders who promise strength over law, identity over tolerance. It all feels familiar. Fascism never dies. It waits. And when the world starts breaking again, the old ghosts knock on the door, wearing new clothes. The rise of fascism wasn't a glitch in history. It was a warning still echoing. The Treaty of Versailles and Weimar instability made Germany ripe for extremism. Fascism first succeeded in Italy, providing a model for others. Hitler rose gradually, legally, through manipulation of fear and democratic loopholes. The 1929 global crash radicalized many across Europe. Fascism didn't conquer nations, it seduced them. Hitler wasn't an accident, he was the logical result of global failure. These patterns are not confined to history, they repeat in new forms. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And the story of fascism isn't locked in the 20th century. It's alive, whispering through broken systems and bitter crowds. What happened after World War I was a global collapse of trust. What came next was Hitler. If we forget that, if we pretend it was just a mistake, we won't be ready when the next shadow rises. Like this breakdown, subscribe to Shadow Force to understand how war, power, and fear still shape the world. Share this video. The warning is still active.
Still think the Middle East just spiraled out of control? Or maybe someone lit the fuse and left the scene. If you're ready for the stories behind the headlines, hit like, subscribe, share Shadow Force. Because history is never neutral, and neither are we.